Queeve, can you hear me? You're frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, Queeve's broken the internet. Hello, people. Well, I'm just going to open up for now until Queeve reappears. He's suddenly vanished. Thanks ever so much for joining us today. And yeah, Merry Christmas. This is our Shindig without Queeve. Yay! I'm taking over the world. I've decided. Who wants to be here? You can have me. But he should be back shortly. And we've got a surprise for you. And we are also joined with a couple of guests tonight as well. They'll pop in and say hello ever so quickly. And then hopefully we will have Queeve back.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hello, Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas, everyone!
Are we live? I was caught drinking in a terrible stereotype.
Oh, there he is.
Happy Christmas, everyone.
So I was, what happened there was, I was trying to stand back so everyone could see my lovely outfit, ringing the bell, and I tried to move the Mac a little bit. The paracam came out of the back for 4 seconds before we went live.
Oh no! What a disaster!
So is everyone in? Hello, is everyone?
Yes,
we are live now.
in.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Paul from New Mills. Yes, you will hear me coughing. I was supposed to play a game with Paul today, and I was too ill to go. You're lucky I'm here. I'm on death's door, so bear that in mind. So yeah, I was gonna introduce everybody on, and yeah, but that all went by the wayside when I disappeared. So Merry Christmas. So let's see who we've got in. First off, I mean, I should say now you're all on screen. I should say hello to the wonderful Mark Stay, the magnificent Brendan McDonald, and the effervescent Elf Lane, which doesn't really work, but almost works as a name. And let's see who. Hello to everyone, ever the professionals. Oh, you've no idea. And hello from New York, fabulous. Do shout out, let's know Yorkshire. Oh, there's plenty of people here. Lovely to see you all from Glasgow. I hope you're coming to the event in January. I've had Glaswegians and Scotland people in general giving out. We were doing an event. I'm doing an event with Christopher Brookmire. I don't tell you this, Mark. Chris Brookmire, my favorite living author. No offense. I just realized when I said that, I was like, oh, awkward. But yeah, Chris Brookmire has agreed to do it in Glasgow, which is like I'm bringing books to get signed to my own event. Yeah. But yeah, I'm very excited. I mean, we're doing hopefully Mark is doing an event with me in London. We still haven't got the venue sorted. We're hopefully going to get it sorted. That's on the 21st with the brilliant Jodie Taylor. And then Tuesday, I'm going to be in Leeds I'm doing one with Gary Delaney, my own mate, Gary, a book event, which would be hilarious because as Gary always his joke is in the last 3 years of the books he's read, I've written 50% of them. And, and if I read another one, it'll be 66% because he's only written 2 books. He's only read 2 books in the last 3 years. He's released a book in the last 3 years and he's only read 2. But so he's going to be asking me questions about my book, which will inevitably just end up being an hour of blokes, 2 men scoring points on each other from all our quibbles from living together for a decade. Then I'm doing hopefully Luca Vesti in Liverpool on the Wednesday, which is great. He's lovely, Luca. And you ever met Luca, Mark?
No, I listened to his podcast because he had a podcast a while ago. I don't know if it's still going, but no, he's up in Liverpool, isn't he?
He is, yes.
Never really crossed paths, but no, nice guy.
Oh yeah, he's great, Luke. He's the bass player in the Fun Loving Crime Writers, which is the band where Val McDermott. It's a great. They've played Glastonbury and everything, as they like to point out. Stuart Neville actually is a guy from Northern Ireland who's a brilliant crime writer. I always say this one, The Ghosts of Belfast, or The 12 Ghosts, is called. I think is probably the best. I think it's possibly the best Irish crime book ever written. It's amazing, and I mean, it's quite bleak. Seeing it's Christmas time, I should point out in case anyone starts trying to read it. It's not a fun Christmas read. It's a man being followed around with the ghosts of people he killed, but it's a brilliant book. but he's also an incredible guitarist. Oh my God, he's good. And I played in bands for years and stuff, and he's amazing. And then there's Chris Brookmyre's in that, as is Val McDermott. Doug Johnson, the drummer, is again amazing drummer, and I used to play drum for years. From Scottish guy, and then Val McDermott, Chris Brookmyre, and Mark Billingham. That's everybody, isn't it?
Yeah. So what do you? I didn't know you played an instrument. What do you play, Queef?
I play drums. I've got an electronic set over there that we moved into this house in February, and I've never actually played it. I haven't plugged it in yet, but it's there.
So not a real musician.
No, I'm a drummer.
Actually, my son's a drummer. He's very good as well. Really, really good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You sing and play guitar, don't you, Brent?
I do, but the funny thing is, I was in bands when I was younger, and all I ever wanted to be was the drummer. But I got banned as such from every drum kit of every band I played in, because I used to just go and beat the shit out of it.
Well, basically, drummers are invariably the people whose parents will give in and let them get a drum kit, because nobody wants their kid to be a drummer.
And also, that's the house the band has to practice in. You always practice in the drummer's house as well. So
yeah. And my dad, God rest him, spent years driving us around with my gear, because I had all the drum kit and stuff, and he was basically our roadie. God love him. He'd turn up, drive us all the way to the gig, unload the thing, go home, have his dinner, come back, pick us all up from the gig. Because he wouldn't let him go into the gig, because you can't have your dad standing back of the gig. You're a rock and roll star. It's terminally.
Yeah, totally.
God
rest him. We could have crossed paths in the. I was late 80s, early 90s. I was very young, child star.
Oh, I'm younger than you. My wife's gone. She's using this as an opportunity to run. Hello from Two Buck Scott, Harry Scott. Hello from Norfolk. So I'm just checking in. Hello from St. Albans. Lovely to see everyone. I was in bands in, it would have been 93, 94, probably 95, 96. It's when I first started. People just always started calling me Queeve. It's where the Queeve thing comes from, because Queeve is Irish for Kevin.
Yeah.
And then they started calling me Queeve in bands, and it kind of stuck, and I preferred it. And when I started doing stand up and all that, I just used Queeve. And then because people always go, "Oh, it's a stage name," and you go, "No, it's what my wife calls me."
Because you were christened Kevin, were you?
Yeah. Queeve is short for Queeveen, which is the original Kevin.
Yeah.
And I just started using Queeve, and occasionally when I'm picking stuff up, if it's just easier with the electric company and stuff, I'll just use Kevin, because it's a pain in the arse trying to use Queeve.
Oh no!
Yeah. So there you
does
go.
Does that mean that the K in CK stands for Queeve Kevin?
Yeah. My dad got really annoyed about this, because Ed, our agent, myself and Mark are the same agent, and I put C/K because they wanted to use an initial. And he just looked at it and went, CK, that sounds good. Now, to be fair, this is before Louis CK kind of ruined CK for all of us. And weirdly, my dad, bless him, he was in when he was in the home. I remember him, he kind of had, somebody's got something they want to say to you, and you're like, what's wrong, Dad? He's like, and then he pointed to the front of the book and he went, your name isn't CK, it's either C or it's K. Because he was annoyed because my middle name is Gerard, which was after a friend of his. It's like your second initial has to be a G, because he was quite annoyed. Then I was like, well, I'm going to tell Ed this and apologize. But yeah, bless him. It was weird. He got bizarrely annoyed about that. So do you self-identify as Irish now? I have always identified as Irish. I don't know who you're asking. How dare you? Just got a ticket for Glasgow. Thank you very much, Cheryl. Please God, it won't just be you, me, and Chris Brookmyre. Although if it is, let's be fair, that's an incredible night out in the piss. That's going to be
round.
By the way, if people are coming in, bring the kids in to see Santa. I will be swearing and drinking, so just be on your own heads if you want to. I was going to say, if anyone hasn't got presents for the kids, if you'd like me to fake dying and then you can bring them out of the room again, by all means do. Or I can just, if you want to just quickly put one of your kids on, I'll tell them they've been bold. They know why they're not getting any presents. That's absolutely fine. So, Wakefield, well, lovely. Best Santa ever. Thank you very much. Wakefield looks forward to seeing you in Leeds. Yeah. No, I'm genuinely excited about doing, because someone was asking about the live events, because people always ask me about, do you miss doing stand-up? And honestly, I don't actually miss it that much. I miss hanging out with stand-ups quite a bit, but I don't miss, the driving more than anything. And getting a parking ticket. I went to one gig. I went to Gary Delaney's tour show a couple of weeks ago. I got 60 quid fine for a parking ticket. It was like, oh Jesus, yeah, I remember this. Yeah. And It's weird though. I don't, but must admit, like for about a week, I'm gonna be like going around gigging, and it will be like me back on stage again. So I will. It is quite me sort of getting quite. You remember the adrenaline rush because you used to do a lot of acting and stuff, live stage work, Mark, didn't you?
Yeah. And it's it got a bit much actually, the nerves. But the thing is, going on stage and just doing author stuff is great fun because most of the time you're just winging it, and I kind of know what I'm talking about, and I enjoy it. But it was it was the learning of the lines and going on stage, and I was performing my own plays as well, which is double nerve-wracking because you're not just thinking I'm a shit actor, I'm also a shit writer, and everyone's going to find out tonight when I step on stage. So there was that as well. So just sitting
like
at home.
Did that not get a laugh because I'm a bad writer or because I'm a bad actor? What happened there?
Exactly.
But speaking of which, I don't know if you know this, Mark, but Brendan, you've toured the world acting on stage. You did
quite say I didn't know you tread the boards, Mark, dearest. Wonderful.
Yes, darling. Yes.
Wonderful.
Oh God, it's gonna be an hour of this now.
As Larry once said to me, Larry, get out of my dressing room, he said.
Larry. All dead now, bastards.
Because you did for any Irish people in, or indeed people who are fans of rugby, there's an amazing play, Mark. If you get a chance to see it, you don't actually even need to like rugby. It's called Alone It Stands, and it's a play that's about when Munster, which is the southern province of Ireland, beat the All Blacks in rugby, which is like at the time was the biggest upset ever in world rugby kind of thing. And they've made is it 6 actors, Brendan? Have I got that right?
Yeah, 6 actors. It's sort of like doing the Stranger Times. It's 6 actors playing 57 parts. So at least there's 6 of them. But yeah, including a dog actually. To play a dog. My dog is with me here. Just for
Did you do the dog? Were you the dog in the play?
Yeah. It didn't require that.
I remember because my friend Paddy's an actor as well as a comedian, and he was doing around the Shakespeare Globe, and he was doing, I think they did Twelfth Night and something else. So I was, I must come and see you. I was like, what are you? He said, well, on 12th night, I'm a tree. And I was like, those tickets are expensive. I'm not coming to see you be a tree, for fuck's sake.
Classic actor trope. I'm a tree.
Yeah, I was like, did they not have scenery? Yeah. What? Why are you being a tree? He's like, oh. Paddy, to be fair, is an amazing man. I'm actually going to Dublin in February to the Ireland-Wales rugby match with him because he managed to score tickets. I can remember we were... No. It's Paddy Lennox, his name. He's a Northern Irish comic, but he's lived in London all the time. I've known him. But he was amazing because we were in a sketch group together. It's the only acting I've ever done was in a sketch group. Oh, cool. It was me, Hal Crutton, and Zoe Lyons and Paddy, and we did Edinburgh and stuff. But I remember we were having a rehearsal, and after the rehearsal, we were going to the pub, and Paddy's missus was like pregnant with her second or third child at that point. And he had to go to Lamaze. He was like, I think he was actually the third one. The second was Lamaze. The first time round, you're learning all this stuff. The second and third times round, it's just repeating it. That was his thing. It's like, it's just, you're not learning anything new. She knows what she's doing. I know it. So Paddy seriously wanted to go to the pub with me and I think the 2 girls were in this group at the time, and Hal. And he said, yeah. And he said, and he went out, took a phone call, came back, said, I can stay. He said, what do you mean you can stay? I thought you had to go. He said, yeah. No, I told Annabelle you made a pass at me. I was like, what? I told her you made a pass at me. What? Why did I make a pass at you? Well, I had to tell her something. So I had to talk you. I said, it couldn't be one of the women because I don't have to leave. But if you make a pass at me, I have to sort of calm you down and talk you through and stuff. I was like, but I mean, why do I have to?
Bizarre excuse.
It's just like, he's an amazing. I mean, I can remember though. I mean, he is. I probably shouldn't tell this story, but he was Trivia the Monkey Butlers. That's exactly what we're called. Thank you, Sarah. Hello. I wouldn't even remember the name now. I was also at Paddy at a wedding with Paddy years later, and one of the most incredible things. Paddy's he's a remarkably charming man. He's almost too charming. It's dangerous, like a superpower. To the point where he was talking to this. We were outside. I was having a cigarette or something like that, and he was outside. These 2 old ears who'd been at the wedding were chatting away to him. And he was on one side of the bush and they were on the other side of the bush. And he was having a lovely, charming conversation with them. They came up and saw him because one of them saw him earlier on. And they started chatting away to him. And I was at the other side having a cigarette. And the entire conversation, he was very charming. They were loving him. And at no point did they realize he'd been having a pee throughout the entire conversation.
Not even steam rising up.
Good God.
Yeah, but they never realized. He was like, "How are you? Oh, you're looking lovely in your dress." I was like, "He just managed to." By the way, if anyone has the people in there, we're just randomly. There's some questions there as well. I see one about Vincent Bancroft. Any questions you have about the books, or indeed anything else for all three of us, and Wonder Wife, who's supposed to be here but keeps nipping off because she's shy, but she's going to come back on in a minute because I don't know if you've all even seen her wonderful costume. But if you've any questions about, here she is.
Yay!
You've muted yourself, love. Oh, she's gone again. She's just. Hello. I was going to slag you off, then I remembered how this started with me pulling the plug out of my Mac in the 4 seconds ago. So
this is one of our technologically finest events. I was just saying, I'm not shy. I'm just trying to reply to people. And I have my thinking face on, and no one needs to see that.
Oh, God, yeah, no one wants to see the thinking face. God, do you remember that time when I was down at the meeting in London years ago for a writing meeting? It was for Pet Squad, the cartoon series, and then Maddie, who's a wonderful producer, was the thing. And like they had all these notes from the BBC that were frankly terrible notes. I can say that now. Awful. That executive was the worst executive ever in the history of anyone being an executive. But I was sitting at one end of the table, she was sitting at the other, and she started telling me these notes that he'd given us. And I was like thinking, and she went, "Oh God, you're doing that face." Like there's me in the fair there's a room with like 12 people, so all the other writers there. I'm sorry, I wasn't. And I said it to a lady. She went, "Oh God, yeah, the face." When I get back, I was like, "Well," she said, "I know you well, so I know you don't mean it's the worst thing." But you're like, when you're listening to something, you're not particularly keen on what they're saying. You basically pull a face like somebody just shit and put it in your face. And I was like, I had to email her afterwards, Maddie, and go, "I'm really sorry, I didn't know about the face." Like my wife's explained it now. But yes. But yeah, so you've got to show people. I'll show people my proper outfit now. Hopefully, I'll be able to do it without. But Elaine, do you want to give us a twirl there and show people the outfit? It's magnificent.
I can't quite get in to the screen.
Well, turn around. You can show them.
Stand on a chair.
Ooh.
So you may stop
Easy, love. This might end up being a very different kind of show.
And back again.
Thank you very much. That was quite something. Yeah, no, she walked into the room wearing that last night, and that was the most I've laughed at any point this year. It's an amazing outfit. Elf and safety indeed. I will show people the proper. Let me just take the title. I'll show you the proper Santa outfit. Hang on. Here we go.
Boots. The boots.
It's the full kit. Amazing.
Fantastic.
The bell.
That's a second career for you, Quiv. If the writing ever goes south, that's
big time.
You say that. I have actually been. I got kind of both times. I got forced into it, but I've been Santa Claus. I think twice. Neither which went well. The first time I was in university in DCU, which is in the north side of Dublin. Oh, she's gone again. And they asked me to do for the local kids because it was Ballymun, Brendan, which is Frank doesn't know Ballymun. It's this famous area of Dublin. Seven Towers referred to in U2 songs and everything. It's one of the it's basically social housing. They put all these 7 towers. I think they've knocked a few of them down now, haven't they, Brendan? They're getting people out.
They're all gone now. Yeah.
Oh, good. Right, they're gone. But basically, they're bringing kids in from Ballymun. Yeah, no, I don't mean that they didn't knock them down with people in them, Brendan. But yeah, so it was up. All the kids from the Mun were in. I'm gonna meet me. Hat's gone wrong here, and I was like, I had to be Santa Claus for the thing, and I'm not kidding. One of my elves was a security guard with a hat on. Like, because some of the kids might get. I remember the guy said, some of the kids last year got a bit rowdy. What? So it's like, this is why the person who didn't last year didn't want to do it, is because they got walloped by a kid because they asked for too much stuff, and he said, "You can't have that much stuff," and the kid went, "Fuck you, Santa." Then the second time, my first job, up the Mun, indeed, Paula. The second time, it was my first job, and they asked me, and I basically was the new guy, so I couldn't say no. I was at university and stuff. So they had me see if anyone can spot the flaw in this plan. Right? They rented out a section of a kids' play area. You know, all the things with all the jumping up and down thingies and all the soft play areas, right? massive thing somewhere in Finglas or something like that. Massive area, hold like 500 kids, and they had like 50 kids or all the kids of people from the company, and they had one area closed off, and they said, it'd be brilliant, we're going to dress you up as Santa and bring you in, and then you can give the presents to the 50 kids. It's great. Yeah. What they hadn't factored in was they were sending a bloke dressed as Santa into a place full of about 600 kids. And the other 550 didn't know Santa wasn't there for them. So Santa got mobbed by kids he could not give presents to because he only had a certain amount of presents. So literally, I have people crying. I have parents giving out to me, kids. I'm like, it's not my fault. They just told me to come in the outfit.
Ruined Christmas, Santa.
Yeah, so I went in, did the thing after all this, while literally a manager of the company is explaining to other people and apologizing how there isn't this Santa is not for their children. And then to get out again afterwards, he said, you just have to run into the toilets and change. So I ran into the toilets, nearly barreling over a kid. I was such a panic to get out of the way. I ran into a ladies' toilets. And I literally ran into a ladies' toilets and two women are just there at the sinks, and I'm like, Merry Christmas. I ran out.
Ho, ho, ho.
And that's how Santa ended up on the wrong kind of list.
Exactly. So yes, if anyone has questions, Elena hopefully will be gathering together while chatting to people. Hello, George and Tony. I think my lovely friends George and Tony. Well, Brendan, of course. You're in New Zealand now, George. I don't know if you know this, Brendan. These are international jet sets, Mark.
I met them at FantasyCon. Yes, they were off to Dubai when I saw them. Yeah.
These people are amazing. Their books, what's it called again? Over London. I knew it was Over Under. Over London. It's a fabulous book. It's a lot of fun. Brendan does the narration for the audiobook, and so they're basically. They house sit around the world, or they have been up to recently. They go around all these different parts of the world, and they're house sitting, minding people's pets and stuff. Fan of Over London, lovely to see. And yeah, it's just amazing. They basically are international jet setters taking care of people's cats and dogs.
So jealous.
And stuff. Yeah, it's an amazing life. I think they're back in New Zealand now, so well, not back.
Yeah,
they're actually
from that online.
But and they're over. They've been to. To Queevil Lane Towers. Oh, by the way, love, I presume you are listening, because my office is at the back of our garden. This is a bit weird, and it's going to sound bad, but we've been in this house now since February. We haven't met our neighbours. Now, that sounds terrible, but weirdly, the way this thing is set up, you're not kind of quite... Oh, she's back. So explain it. We haven't met our neighbours.
Terrible neighbours that we are.
Well, to be fair, some of the point we keep trying to drop around and see them and stuff, and we think, oh, they're not in, and they're away on holidays at the time we tried and stuff. We keep trying to do it, and then, because weirdly, you don't see the people. Our road doesn't have a footpath. It's a bit of an odd road. So we haven't met them properly. But I was walking up to my office today with a bottle of rum in one hand and a bottle of Diet Coke in the other, dressed as Santa Claus. And I did see someone looking out the window. So I think the neighbours have now seen me. Dressed as Santa with a bottle of booze, walking up to an office on his own. So they may not answer the door if we drop around as planned this week. That's all I'm saying.
Probably measure be pretty quickly.
But yes. So we've been chatting. I'm sorry, I've been chatting away for ages. So we should.
New there?
What?
I said, what's new there?
Well, that's not like you, Queeve. Normally can't get a word out of you.
Brendan and Mark are neighbours. Yeah, we do. We actually all live in the same house.
Yes, I'm upstairs. So
yeah, Brett. We keep Brendan in the attic. Just him and the elf.
Me and the.
But by the way, I should say the Christmas special for the Stranger Times podcast is out tomorrow. He says because I'm going to upload it tonight. Oh, she's gone again. Seamless. It's up. It's going to be coming out tomorrow morning. Read by the wonderful Brendan. He does the Christmas shit, and Betty is back. For anyone remembers Betty from
Betty is back. It's brilliant having Betty back. Brilliant having Betty back.
See that he can say sentences like that. That's why we hire him. He's amazing. Yeah. So yes, that is out. Thank you for everyone who's pre-ordered the hardback and all that. By the way, Elaine will come on in a bit and show you the hardback. We just got our first copies of the hardback. It's very exciting. And it does, because you know that thing where, Mark, when you get the books through, normally I'm not that bothered when they send me the books through, but this time they sent the books through, and I have to say, I got pretty excited.
What's different this time then? What's different about that? What?
I don't know. I think it caught me by surprise. I think because I thought the box was actually something else. Because my publishers are not the most organized people in the world, so I was shocked when they turned up, kind of when they were supposed to.
Oh, my Santa has arrived. Oh no, it's only the hardback version of my new book.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be that new filter for the Hoover. I was livid. Living
the dream, baby.
But yeah, because I don't know if you get excited when your books show up, Mark. But I'm sort of. But this time, I must admit, it properly got me.
Well, I usually do a little film or video, mocking it up, you know. But I sort of painted myself into a corner because the production values got bigger and bigger with each one. And
your videos were amazing.
I kind of need snow for the Holly King one to work, and it hasn't snowed, so I don't know if I'm ever going to get around to doing one for that. But we'll see. But
because you should say because. If you're looking for a Christmas read, ladies and gentlemen, this is a perfect link. The Holly King by Mr. Mark Stay. It's Jenny. I've read it. I mean, it came out. Where did it came out in the middle of the year? Didn't it? It was
September.
Yeah. So it's not. But well, now Kazumpi's. I'm trying to do a promotion, Brendan. Now it was just looking at the dog.
Is that a Newfie poo?
Is it what?
Is it a Newfie poo?
Mark, something's happening. You're not speaking English. Words are coming out weird.
No, it's just our neighbours have a dog called Parker, and he's a Newfie poo.
No, he's a dog, mate. He's a dog. A Newfie poo. I don't know if you've got constipation or something, but he's a sorry, Mark. He's a terrier mix. And
gotcha.
He wants to get out.
No, he's trying to escape.
Newfie poo.
Newfie poo, yeah. Look it up.
Brendan, please introduce us to the wonderful creature on your lap. I really hope that somebody walks in now and doesn't know there was a dog in here and reads that and go, I'm sorry, what?
Sorry, I see that. Who's it? Laura. Laura, that's my dog, Dougie. And he's wonderful, except he's a bit crazy, it's quick to tell you.
He's a big fan of me, though. I love that. Do you remember I went, because I went round to Brendan's house and Brendan was like, okay, like Dougie's, he's a very, he's a bit hyper, so he doesn't really like people that much. And then, like, he lets him out. He just runs up to me and starts petting, like, licking my hand. And like, oh. He rolls over, starts letting me rub his belly after like 20 seconds. And he's like, he's really not like this for people. This is kind of annoying.
He loved you.
But yes, no, he's a great little dog. But yes, back to the Holly King. So it came out in September because it's a Christmas book, but it's not, but it's because I read it October, actually, it would have been. And it's fantastic. It's a great. What's interesting is because I'm a big fan of Mark's books, the Witches of Woodville series. If you get a chance, I've said it before. Great there. I know he's here and it's awkward me saying this, but unfortunately, it's true. I mean, I'm going to say something nice about Brendan in a minute, but that'll be made up. But Mark's book genuinely fantastic, lovely. Sort of set in World War II. It's a great idea for a book. I love him. But the Holly King is. I think it's interesting with your books because you started off being cozy fantasy. Would you fair to say? And you kind of got a bit less cozy as you went on, weirdly.
Well, they've all got an element of darkness to them, but this one gets particularly it's in the bleak midwinter, and it gets kind of quite dark in this one. I'm quite horrible to all the characters in this one, but it's
but it's still kind of weirdly Christmassy, and there is a lovely Christmas vibe to it, and they're great fun. To be clear, when I say they're dark, they're also very funny and charming and stuff. Because I have an idea for a Stranger Times Christmas book. And I think the thing that they've said is, you have to come out on Christmas if it's going to be a Christmas book. So we're really currently, but my idea is, without going into detail, my idea is way darker than yours. Like it literally starts with a quadruple murder. So it's going to be very much the anti-Christmas Christmas book if we ever get around to doing it. Hello, me. We were waiting for you. If we got any questions, by the way, Elaine, if you want to start firing. We've got some in the private chat. Let's see. Here we go. She's already been doing it. Here we go. Questions. What presents will you be getting Diller and Jackson for Christmas? Now, these are our two dogs, by the way. This is very challenging, and I'll tell you why. We spoil those dogs so much. We had this on Diller's birthday this year. We're like, we'll get him a special treat, and then we're like, we already give them everything that's special for a dog. We are the most indulgent. Elaine got them 2 bones during the week because someone said they're good for their teeth. She got them bones that are this big. I'm not kidding. They are literally, there we go. The one she got Jackson is basically bigger than Jackson. Like you could see how delighted he was, but he honestly looked like he might try and hump it at one point. That's how big the moment. So Diller and Jackson, we might get him a little bit of steak or something. Jennifer Pierre, a short story book coming out next year. Will Bloody Christmas be in it? Yes. Oh, we're bringing out a book. All the bunny short stuff will basically be in one book. People have been asking for that because at the moment it's kind of the what's the short story collection called that we currently have out? That one, the one you get free and stuff. People have been asking for all the bunny stuff in one place, so we're doing that. There'll be hopefully a new bunny short story. There'll also be Meanwhile in Dublin when that eventually comes out. The one that you can get if you pre-order the hardback for free and early, that will be in that collection when it eventually comes out. How to Send a Message is the name of the one we currently have yet, but we're basically putting all the bunny stuff in one place. Has Brendan got a shelf tucked down his jumper, or is he just pleased to see it? It's the elf. Did you? Because when did this elf thing? Can I ask, as somebody who doesn't have kids?
Yeah.
When did the elf in the shelf become a thing?
Oh, I'd say about 10 years ago, Mark, was it?
I think it's long been a thing in the States and North America. And it's kind of, I think with the rise of social media, Americans started putting them online and the rest of us went, oh, for the shelf.
Just became it was the biggest. You've got kids, Mark, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. Presumably, we've no one under the age of 11 watching this.
No, I hope not. Be fine.
I don't want to ruin Christmas again.
You're gonna ruin Christmas anyway, Brendan. Just lean into it, mate. Make it your brand.
My kids are 13 and 14 now, so it seems about 10 years ago that we started doing Elf on the Shelf, and it is the biggest bane for every parent because you started. What is it? You started the 1st of December, so you got 24 nights of every single night putting this elf out, and it used to be just an elf on a shelf, and then he started doing more and more extravagant and ridiculous things, and you basically you'd be lying in bed at like midnight going, oh shit, forgot to put the elf out. You had to go in and the elf took bananas and wrote on them, and the elf took the toys and did all this. Like, you had to do so much with this elf on the shelf.
We missed all that. My kids are in their 20s now, so we never had any of that.
Oh,
so
you're lucky.
To dodge it.
You don't look old enough, dear. You must have been a child bride.
Oh God. Do you know the first thought that occurred to me as soon as you started explaining what Elf on the Shelf was like? In some house somewhere, Granny would have fallen asleep on the sofa and died overnight. And a kid's going to come running down and go, wow, the elf killed Grandma. That's how my mind works. That's why I don't have children.
Okay.
So next question. Rob Hart. So Rob Hart asks, who is Vincent Bancroft based on? Weirdly, I would say, because people always talk about Jackson Lamb, who I'm a big fan of Slow Horses books. If you've not read them, they're magnificent. And actually, the latest series of the thing on Apple, the other ones were good, but this series is fantastic.
It's terrific, isn't it? It's really good.
It's so good. They do it brilliantly, and they're very true to the books. They're great books. But people always start with Jackson Lamb, and actually, that's kind of more coincidence than anything, really. Because I wrote Strange Times as a sitcom like 10, 15 years ago now. And basically the character was there. It's, to be honest, I'm really ripping off Dylan Moran's character, Bernard Black from Black Books, mixed with J. Jonah Jameson from the Spider-Man, the editor of the Spider-Man things. That's kind of the two touchstones at the time. But yeah, I know people always say, oh, it's just be like Jackson Lamb, and I get why it is, because there is certainly comparisons. But yeah, that actually genuinely is a bit of a weird coincidence more than
it's funny. I think, I've seen a couple of episodes of Slow Horses, and I keep intending to go back to it. And, of course, there's a bit of a trope sometimes in TV and film and books of the absolute monster boss who's just horrible to everyone. But I really think from day one, I was just so taken by Bancroft. I think he is despite you can make these comparisons, I think he's a wholly original character who really stands on his own. And like we were discussing the last time, to see, without sounding, as I'm always apologizing, too wanky about it, but to see the kind of character arc of him in
Double Towers Apart,
Double Towers Apart, and the emotional core of the man, where he really,
I think
he's in his grief and all that. It's just brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, well, as Mark and you'll say, everyone talks about like stereotypes and tropes and stuff, and those things are no problem. The whole idea is you start from that point, and then you go somewhere else a lot of the time, isn't it? It's very rare that you got somebody's entirely weird new character to.
No, I'm always looking for ways to subvert a stereotype or a trope or anything like that, just to do something different with it. Yeah, and
I mean, one of my favorite things, more in my bunny books, the crime books, but I love pointing out tropes. Like literally, one of the characters say to the other, like, if this was a movie, and then because then you could literally take the mickey, and weirdly it makes it more real. Because I always find that weird in books where they sort of like, oh my God, there's something shambling towards us. Like, and they're trying to come up with the word zombie. Whereas in my books, I just take as a default that everything that we know in film and TV,
film.
Yeah, they all exist. So when zombies turn up, as they will do, spoiler alert, pretty soon.
There's a bit in Unwelcome where Hannah John Carmen looks down into this pit, which is there's candles, and she just goes, no fucking way. Because I hate that, horror movies, you see the stairs going down into the basement. It's like, I won't go down there. Only an idiot would go down there.
Unwelcome, by the way, for anyone who hasn't seen it, is a horror movie Mark wrote that was in the cinemas this year and is now out on streaming services, I believe, Mark?
Yes.
I was because I told you, I'm sure I told you this, the story of myself and Gary Delaney went to see it, because I'm usually too scared to go see horror movies, but because I was thanked in the end of these in the credits, because it's based in Ireland, I read the script from Mark, I went to see it, and it's great. And myself and my friend Gary went to see it. We saw it in the Trafford Centre, which is the enormous shopping centre, but we saw the last screening, so we came out, and there was nobody else in the shopping centre except us. And Gary's car was one way, and mine was the other. And I was like, "Well, I'll have to go that way, I guess, because there's obviously no reason for a grown man to."
You very kindly sent me a photo, which I now realise you sent to me just in case you didn't make it to your car and the police had to track your final movements. So
yeah, because like the thing is, like Gary went one way because mine was out the other way because I'd gone into Waterstone, so it was a bit far away. So I had to walk through, and the creepiest thing was, and this was wonderfully creepy, there was a security guard just wandering around doing his round the first of the night, but he was whistling. So I'm going through this massive shopping place empty. I just hear this whistling noise coming through, and I'm like, "Oh, that's just somebody walking around. Calm down. It is not a serial killer." And I'm in my head, I'm going, when we get out of this, we can then keep that idea in my head because it will be a serial killer. But yeah. But yes, no, it was fantastic. Let me just check where are we on the which Strange Times characters? Oh, God, there's loads of them here. No story. Please say hello to the wife, Leah. Leah, hello, Merry Christmas. How are you? I hope you've been a good girl. Sorry, it sounds weirdly creepy when I'm sounding to an adult. The nerdy narrative. Which of the Strange Times characters is the most fun to write? For me, I think it's probably going to be Vincent, just because being horrible to people is so delightfully fun to write. Like, he'd never do it in person, but my God, it's a lot of fun to be that horrible to people.
And he's the most fun to voice as well.
I was listening. The next question is, and does Brendan have a favorite to narrate? Is that your answer?
Yeah, it is. I think I was saying that the last time we were on. I love them all dearly. I love some of them for their voices. I love doing the Reggie and Ox duologues when the two of them start at each other. I've now weirdly come to enjoy doing Grace. I love doing Manny, but just Vincent, he's got all the zingers, and he's just, like you say, it's so fun being just obnoxious.
Horrible, yeah.
People,
I can see why some people do it.
I remember lines from like the first book. He's slagging Hannah. Do you want lunch? Don't look like you don't know what it is. It's all you've done for the last 10 years. Real housewife of wherever you are. That kind of, I think part of me reads it and voices it and says, God, wouldn't it just be so liberating to be that fucking obnoxious to everyone?
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
You mightn't have many friends, but you mightn't get much work, and you might be living alone, but be very liberating.
That's why we like those characters, but it's often why we write those characters as well, because they're the ones who say the thing that you remember at 3 a.m. after you've had the argument. It's,
yeah. Why didn't I say that?
I replay stuff from decades. I replay stuff from the last century in my head when I can't sleep. My brain just goes through the greatest. Do you remember that guy who was addicted in the bar that time? Oh, it's like 1994. You're like going,
here's what you should have said.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Like just quickly, let's get Psychedelic Pegasus. That's an amazing name. Queeve, what is your dream TV movie casting for Vincent Bancroft or any other Strange Time character? I think probably because it's more. Oh God! Now I'm going to say Brendan. Brendan, who would you be? I suppose you'd have to be Vincent, wouldn't you? You look too healthy. There, I found a way out of it. You look too healthy.
Give it time.
Give it time. Yeah, I was always Dylan Moran would be amazing. Although weirdly he looks too healthy these days as well. Dylan Moran is brilliant Irish comedian. If you get a chance to see him, he's Star Black Books and just an incredible comic. But I actually met him a couple of years ago now, a few years ago now, because he's tour manager. I knew it was a guy I knew, and but like he was always famously drinking and smoking and being quite a sort of. And when I met him, he was drinking green herbal tea, and he's very much I must, because he is one of my all-time heroes. And I said to Barry, his tour manager, afterwards, I should have asked for a picture. And he went, no, you really shouldn't have done. He fucking hates that. So I was like, ooh, good save. Thank you. But yeah, I think Vincent would be amazing.
Colm Meaney often sprung to mind with me.
Oh, he'd be great for it as well. He'd also work as Bunny, though, weirdly. There's a few things. Colm Meaney's such a good actor. Yeah, those. All right, so let's just check. Demeter Hadiver? Brendan, how did you produce Stella's different voices when she's becoming STH? Produce Stella's voice, different voice. Oh, well, I know Stella does have the thing where her accent changes. So how did you cope with her accent changes?
I always remember recording the first book. Now, it's the only time in any of the books that it's pointed out that her accent changes from like Stella street girl, like giving it all that to this. I think you had her as some kind of a Bristol sort of
West Country. Yeah, I have this idea that she was basically Without giving, I can't say any more without giving my backstory that I haven't explained more yet.
But this was in the first book, and I remember doing it in the recording, and Paul Fegan stopping the recording, saying, "You totally lost Stella's voice there. What happened to her?" No, because I had obviously read ahead and knew that this line, blah blah blah, said Stella in a completely different accent. So, sorry, I don't quite know what the question was.
Yeah, I think it might have been. I think Elaine typed it back in again. It might have been a typo or something. But I think that was the general idea. By the way, in the new book, I have written this, and I was kind of aware almost when I wrote it, but there are a thing where we have three characters who it makes sense in the scene, but I have three characters who keep swapping to each other's voices, which I'd imagine that must have been a nightmare to do, was it?
Because, it's not challenging enough to have 50. Thanks to that. Queeve, it was so difficult. I had, actually, for the first time, Paul normally has a screen. He's changed his setup a bit. So we had an iPad that I now control, but I had my hardback notebook beside it, and I kept having to look down and say this one, because the accents were, is it okay to say the accents?
Yeah. Birmingham,
Wales, and way down south, like
yes, that's a South the American South as opposed to South American, which is very different. Yeah. No, it is. I must admit, it is a
around, and it was it just to follow who was saying what. So yes, it was very tricky. Thank you for that.
Basically, I had the idea that they're one sort of collective, and and they're like, they do at one point go, "Oh, we swapped, haven't we?" And you're like, "Yeah, you have," and they went back.
And they're great characters. It does work, and the book
does work. But it is a weird one for. Let me quickly. just check any questions. Will Reynolds, you know how Phil is a bit of a dim genius type. He is indeed. This is Phil Nellis from the Bunny Books. Have you noticed he's kind of like Carrot from Discworld? Yes, I can certainly see that. And look, any comparison to Terry Pratchett is of any way, shape, or form. Frankly, everything I do is ripping that man off. There he is. Closest I have to a god. He had glasses and I've broken them. But yes, Carrot, I think is a good shout. Dream TV cast for Vincent, we said that one. Will anyone from the Strange Times be going to Dublin for John O'Brien's question? I've currently kept them apart, although in the first book, if you go back, a lot of people didn't realize this. If you go back to the very first Loon Day, there's a character in there which is basically Phil Nellis. I put it in as a little sort of Easter egg, where a character from the Bunny Books is basically, he's in talking about pandas on the moon. And I can't remember the exact thing, but it's like going, why would there be pandas on the moon? I said, I'm glad you asked. 3 possibilities. 1, Chinese space program. 2, that's where they come from. Or 3, stag do.
I remember that, yeah.
Craig, will you be offering Stranger Times merch? I'd love to. You'd have to talk to my wife when she finds the time in her busy schedule. That is on her to-do list. We'll be because people keep asking us about Bunny merch and Stranger Times merch, and hopefully we will be doing that. Yes. Will we ever see the sitcom script, Craig, as well? That's a very good question. Annoyingly, I can find every script I've ever written except the Strange Times one, and I've now found a couple of CDs of backups of like old Macs and PCs and stuff. And as soon as I find something that can access a CD, I might be able to, because it will be fast. My memory of it is basically the first 2 or 3 chapters of the Stranger Times book. All the stuff with Reggie jumping off the building and stuff, that was all in the sitcom script. That's like the first half of the script, sitcom script. And so I'm sure the character names will have changed, but that was the basic idea. And Bancroft was being Bancroft. And the bit where Bancroft shoots himself in the foot, mild spoiler alert if you've not read the first book, that was all in the sitcom script. But yeah, I keep trying to find it. I must try and get some device that can do that again. An author advice question: is using a trope or cliche always a bad thing? If it's done well, can it not just be a familiar way of telling an enjoyable story? Absolutely. Everything is about voice, isn't it, Mark? It's about you put your own individual stamp on it. There's nothing wrong with doing something that somebody has done before or something like that. Especially if you're aware of it and you're clever with it, it can actually really add to things, can't it, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I do it all the time. They're tropes are tropes for a reason. But it's all. This is why there's a huge. People worry about ideas too much, particularly people who aren't writers or want to be. I've got an idea. I don't want people to steal it. It's not about the idea. A, your idea will have been done before, and B, it's all about your voice. It's about your execution of that story, which is why we can all. You know, you could ask a dozen people to write different versions of Snow White. You get 12 different versions of Snow White. It's just, it's all in the voice, which is a tricky thing to develop.
It's a good idea for a book, actually, 12 different versions of Snow White. We should do that.
Write that down. No one steal our idea.
Brendan, how long does it take to narrate one of the books? Example, how many times do you have to retake per page chapter? Well, he's never has to retake. It's all one take, isn't it, Brendan?
Yeah. Just one breath, actually.
He just does it and then collapses after 4 days.
Yeah. Some days are better than others. For the overall picture of it, Queeve's books, well, actually, the latest one was the longest. It was 525. So we were covering 105 pages a day. So you do the math. We would do that 5 days of recording, kind of 8-hour days. An hour for lunch, an hour for drinks, an hour for toilet breaks, an hour for we do about 7 hours recording a day. To be honest, the last book, actually, instead of punch and roll where we'd stop and go back, it was far more expedient this way, where I could just stop myself if there was a fluff and I just retake it without Paul having to go back and set me up. So we were able to work a bit quicker. I'm long enough doing these books, so yeah, I'm happy to say I'm able to get through fairly chunky bits of dialogue and stuff and get through it, and I wouldn't have too many mistakes, I hope. Yeah, you need to ask Paul Fegan, the guy who records and does the voice direction on it. But
I put in the chemical formula for ecstasy, and annoyingly, it didn't seem to bother you too much. I was really quite annoyed. And you were like, "Oh yeah, that was fine."
well, there were trickier things like we've been discussing. But
Yes.
no, it's all a joy to record. I love it. But yeah, it doesn't take. We don't do too many retakes to answer your question. You might get it on a second take. Yeah.
Right, I'm just gonna quickly knock off a couple of these questions then, because I want to ask you about your highlights of the year before we go. Could Bunny ever travel to Manchester once these other plans have successfully concluded, or would he be an asset to the Stranger Times? I think it would be disastrous if he joined the Stranger Times, if I'm honest with you. I don't know. People always ask me that. I might end up doing some sort of weird crossover once, just as a kind of charity thing or something. But I'm careful to keep them apart, because there are two different sets of rules for the world. Darlene Queeve, hello Geraldine. Will we ever see you on House of Games or the Taskmaster? Mates of mine have done both, but they're all sort of still comics. Sarah was on Taskmaster, did brilliantly. I doubt she's on Taskmaster. House of Games is like maybe, but I doubt it.
They get authors on Pointless. They've had like Mark Billingham's been on Pointless and stuff like that.
You and me should go on Pointless as a team, Mark. We'd be great on Pointless.
Bloody, yes, I'm there. I would totally do that. I mean, my ambition is to be just famous enough to get in the House of Games, because I ace that every day. I'm not bragging. I just ace it every day.
My friend Angela was on it, and she won every day. People were giving out that she won all the time. And you're like, going, "This is what you're supposed to fucking do." It's like you're supposed to come on and win. Yeah, she's great, Angela. She did. She narrated one of the stories. By the way, in case I haven't said this, Mark will also be narrating a story for the new series of the Stranger Times podcast. I haven't sent it to him yet, but if it doesn't appear, you'll realize he didn't like it. But that's the thing that we're happening. Mel, I identify with Hannah as a character. Which of your characters do you identify most with? I mean, Bancroft is the voice in my head that I never let out. Bunny, probably. Myself and Bunny agree on most things, put it that way. Do you have, Rob Hart, do you have any advice to get into voice work? I presume this is for you, Brendan. It's quite tricky to get into voice work, isn't it?
It is. I don't mean to sound precious about it, but, because it involves speaking and most people are capable of speaking, it is one of those things that people go, "Oh, someone said I have a nice voice and I think I'd like to get into this." So, the reality is 99.999% of voiceovers that you hear have trained or worked for many years as actors. So you would ideally want to have had that background. If you're looking to get into it, the first step you need to do is make a good demo, about 1.5 minutes long, send it out to people. It's hard getting your foot in the door these days. So
I mean, one thing, there is ACX, which is the Audible thing where you can put samples on and stuff like that. Where when we initially went looking, we went looking for, not for these books, because he was done by Penguin Random House, and obviously they got Brendan, which was great. But before we got Morgan, we started doing trying to get auditions for people to do the Bunny books for us. And it was hilarious, the amount of American actors who said, "Oh yes, I can do Irish accent," and I was like, "Yeah, that's the problem. There's not just one. That's already gone."
Bigash and
Bigara, indeed. Keith, quick, last couple of questions. Keith Johnson, who drinks more, the one that writes or the one who records the stories? I don't know what you're talking about. Both of us, how dare you? I'm going to come around and punch you as soon as I'm sober.
And when he punches you, I'm going to kick you.
As soon as I'm sober enough to figure out where the car is, I'm going for
it. You're dead, my Keith.
And Shane Starr, hello Shane. Sorry again about Munster losing to Exeter. Does Braincroft have a preferred whiskey? I think he just drinks anything, if I'm honest. Have you tried that whiskey I got you yet, by the way, Brendan?
No, I'm saving it for Christmas. Queeve gave me a beautiful bottle of whiskey with lovely tumblers and everything.
And I was wearing the t-shirt you gave me for Christmas. This is becoming quite the bromance, but he gave me a lovely t-shirt for Christmas. I love dogs and books, and I was wearing it yesterday. Elaine even asked, "Where'd you get that from?" I was like, "Oh, this is the one Brendan got me." So, "Oh my god, it makes you look like several years younger and 2 stone lighter." And then she put on the elf outfit and things got a little bit excited.
Wow. That's for the next launch.
Yeah, that's we're not putting that on the thing. Gentlemen, we should ask just finally, just what are your highlights of the year? Mark, I'll start with you. What are your highlights of the year?
Highlights of the year. What in terms of stuff that's entertained me, or
Yeah, well, no, like stuff, your personal. I ain't gonna talk. I'll give you my highlights from myself, and I'll give you some
Go on
time to
then,
think
go on
because I
then.
just sprung this on you.
Yes,
Yeah,
I can barely remember last week.
I mean, we won an award, which is really cool, genuinely, because I know you're supposed to pretend cool about these things and go, yeah. But I loved it because it was an acknowledgement of Brendan first and foremost. Also, it was an acknowledgement of everyone in the podcast because the Strength Times won Best Audio at the British Fantasy Awards. And, because the thing is, this, Mark, they always tell you, funny books never win anything. So, like, that's literally one of the first things you hear from publishers and agents and stuff. You just don't win an award. Like, Terry Pratchett has won so few awards in his career. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
And Chris Brookmyre, again, has not won anywhere near as many awards as he should have done. So, yeah, it was genuinely, I was chuffed to bits because it might be the only time it genuinely happens. Yes, I did. I have it. Wonder Wife has it down in the house now. She might pop on and show it to us when she's shown us the hardback book, which I'd imagine she's going to do in a second as well.
Yes.
So that was in all sincerity. I know I'm supposed to pretend these things are, but that was really cool. I was very pleased with that.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to obviously spend a weekend with Mark as well, which was a delight. We were down in Birmingham, which is always fun.
That was fun.
And I'm trying to think, was there other kind of on a career stuff? Chris Brookmyre saying he's going to do the event with me in Glasgow is really exciting for me on a personal level, January. Because like one of the best things that ever happened to me as an author is they sent him the Stranger Times out of nowhere, and he randomly read it. Turns out he literally got it at the start of lockdown, and he opened his post and went, "This looks like it's fun." And frankly, I need a bit of fun. And he read it and was nice enough to give us a lovely quote and stuff. And he'd no idea who I was. So when your all-time hero does that, that's amazing. So the fact he's now agreed to do an event with me as well is really big for me. So I'm chuffed to bits with that. So that would be my highlights of the year that I can think of. And Germany as well was great fun. We went to Germany. That was an absolute blast. We had a great time there. What about you, Mark?
I've had time to think. I won an award as well. The Independent Podcast Awards. Yeah, we won Bestseller Experiment, won Best Books Podcast.
Brilliant.
And I genuinely did not think we were going to get it. I genuinely didn't. And it was fantastic. It was a really, really good evening. And and it's kind of because I've left the podcast now. Last episode goes out on Christmas Day, so it was a really nice way to sort of cap off 7 years of that. But yeah, I've been working on. Having the film come out. I say come out. I mean, Warner's didn't really release it much. They got shoved it.
I know that was a bit of a disappointment.
But having had a film out was really nice. But also,
seeing your work on a cinema screen is fucking incredible. I was really excited when I saw it. So you must have been. Really I know it's a bit of a shame they didn't give it the push it deserved, but
Well, it's Warner Brothers. I'm just glad they released it. But also, I've been working on a sequel to The End of Magic, The End of Dragons, and it's just been so much fun going back to that world. And I've had an absolute blast working on that, and I've nearly finished it. I'm this close to finishing it. So I'm gonna bring that out next year. So.
Cool. Oh, by the way, the Holly King, I forgot. Just it's at 99p now, isn't it? And UK
99p on Kindle in the UK. There we go. And also the Crowfolk, any Americans, Crowfolk is 99 cents in North America as well at the moment.
Oh, cool. Well, you haven't read them yet. Grab them. They're brilliant books. I genuinely heartily recommend them. Brendan, before we go to Elaine for her highlight of the year, and obviously her going to show her stuff. Brendan, what was your highlight of the year?
Funny enough, we were, myself and my wife were watching the award stream live. So that was my first experience ever of the name coming out and going, we won. And that was
and then you found out I was a woman because they announced it as the guy went, I know she's here.
Here.
Okay.
We're looking at you,
an award-winning woman.
You were there, Mark, were you?
No, I wasn't there for the awards. I didn't go to the awards ceremony, so I missed it. But it's weird because FantasyCon are so on the ball about getting, people's genders and being sensitive to that kind of thing. So
you should sue them,
quite unusual.
Yeah.
Close down the awards.
Yes.
That was great. I really enjoyed narrating Relight My Fire. I suppose from a personal point of view,
you scored a big advert, Brent. Come on.
The ad was fun. Yeah, that was fun. It was weird, but it was fun. And it means I can bring my family on holiday next year as well. So that's good. But yeah, that was a bit.
Feeding the kids again. It's
yeah, they're insatiable. They almost want to eat every day, but I try and being healthy. But no, it's been a good year, and just still happy and healthy and keeping everyone fooled. I think it was a landmark year for me because I think I'm now doing voiceovers longer than I haven't been doing voiceovers. I'm 20.
Wow.
I started at 25 and I'm 51 now, so it's 26, 25 to voiceovers. It's non-voiceovers.
It's funny you should mention that because I think I'm nearly tipping to the point where I've lived in Britain longer than Ireland.
Yeah, it's funny, those little landmarks.
It's weird when you start thinking about that because, like, obviously,
Yeah.
and people sort of go, like, do you consider yourself like no, Irish?
No.
I'm always going to be Irish. That doesn't change. But yeah, Elaine, what about you? What was your highlight of the year?
I'm going to keep it quick. I would say having the opportunity to talk to everyone, like whether it's emails or events like this, those are the highlights for me. You're all my colleagues, basically. You're my office colleagues. You're the people who fill me in with the gossip or have water cooler conversations with. So I really, really appreciate that. So thank you.
Them and the dogs. I mean, they are your co-workers as well.
Yeah, they're not as entertaining as you lot, to be fair. I mean,
they don't
some of their farts a little bit fresh, but no.
Can I tell them the story about last week? Because this was the funniest. Actually,
that could be for another time.
No, this was my highlight of the year. I was lying in bed, my wife beside me in bed, and I just like heard her move around. She went, "That is you, isn't it?" What? That is you. No. Elaine had bent over to kiss me goodnight, and she'd forgotten that the two dogs were allowed. We occasionally let them up, and they were lying on the bed. Jackson had stuck his head up, and Elaine literally kissed the dog twice, and thinking it was me. She literally.
This is why
there are so many questions here.
Yeah, and the best thing was she then turned the light on, and you just see Jackson stand there like.
Similar facial hair. What can I say?
Does Jackson have a large beard?
Exactly. She said when I found the hair. And I was like...
To be fair, it would have made more sense if it were Dilla, because at least there's some kind of similarity.
Yeah, he's got a fatter head. Jackson's head is way too skinny to be mine. Diller's got a big fat head in him. That would have at least made more logical sense. But yes, that was literally.
And you're right, Geraldine. There is a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. I mean, that was 10 minutes of solid laughter in bed while two dogs looked really confused as to what was happening. Like literally, both of us dying laughing. Because she managed to kiss a dog instead of me. I mean, I pride myself in trying to write some funny stuff, but nothing. I'm going to tell you right now, nothing will be as funny as that. My wife has never laughed as hard at anything as she did at that. And I was a professional stand-up for 20 years. Never saw a laugh like that before. It was incredible. Elaine, do you want to just quickly show people the award and the book?
Yes.
It's literally just frozen. Oh, lovely. Oh, that's nice. It's gorgeous.
Put it closer. So there you go. You might see it. Oh, it's very. To be fair, all you're seeing is a reflection of your screen.
Hang
on.
A
very big penis.
We'll take the second thing.
No, that doesn't help at all.
No, okay.
No, never mind. Well, we know people have seen we've got a great big glass thing. But do show people the hardback because it looks really cool. So I'm genuinely
nice. And I can vouch for this book. It's brilliant.
Oh, very much.
It's so good.
But listen, I hope we've answered most of the questions. Paddy Walsh, any plans for a new bunny book? Of course. Myself and my Wonder Wife are working on a secret project at the minute. And once that's finished, I will be going on to a bunny book idea that I have to say is one I'm really looking forward to. And someone asked about tropes and stuff earlier on. I'll say this doesn't give away anything. But the classic I don't know what it's called now. The Agatha Christie book, Mark, that they've renamed about 3 times because of the problematic name.
And then there were none.
And then there was none.
And then there were none is what it's called now. It's one about the whole, it started the trope of the people being trapped in an island and all that sort of thing. I have an idea for doing my version of that. Ooh. Involving Bunny. That as soon as I hit it, I literally told it to Elaine, and she did actually find it funny straight away. Because I had this idea and went, oh my God, that's such a fun idea. And I'm really excited about writing it. So once Mystery Project is out of the way, that'll be the next one. So that'll be out sometime next year. So that'll be the next one, the Dublin trilogy. As well as that, there'll be the Bunny Shorts collection, which will have all the Bunny Short Story stuff, including Bloody Christmas, somebody asked. And Meanwhile in Dublin will eventually be in that as well. And there'll probably be another short story as well. It's a quick one, just for that thing. So yes, that'll definitely be happening. Hopefully at some point next year, there'll be a collection of Stranger Time short stories as well. Because we've got loads of them now and we really want to get that out. Any plans to tour the US? No, although we are hopefully we're going to be going to the West Coast at some point next year, because I'd like to go see the LA Rams play, but anything else. And I also have some meetings and stuff to have over in Los Angeles. But outside of that, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank all of you for turning up. I hope this has been fun for you. It's just basically been us catching up with some mates, but I hope that's been fun for all you. Mr. Stay, The Holly King, and which book was the one in America that's on the 99 now as well?
So the Crow Folk, 99 cents at the moment, and then Holly King, 99p in the UK. So yes.
Sorry, final question from Philip Wheel. I'd like to know the answer as well. Elaine, who was the better kisser?
I'm going to have to cover Jackson's ears.
Stiller. Wait a second. When did that happen? Brendan, thank you very much, sir. You've been a delight to work with. People can hear your dulcet tones tomorrow because I'm going to put up the podcast right now before I forget.
Looking forward to hearing that. Great.
And Elaine, thank you as always for marrying me. And I look forward to Christmas dinner as always. We're not doing the turducken again, but remember that last year I got quite excited about the concept of turducken. Then we had a turducken last year. Turned out there was a good reason we hadn't had one previously.
The bird within the bird within the bird thing.
Yeah. There's a reason those three birds shouldn't have had intercourse with each other.
No.
It's not good.
No.
I mean, maybe we didn't get it, but there might be. I'm sure Americans, it's probably people do it right, but we didn't like. Thank you very much to everybody. Have a wonderful Christmas for yourself. If you still haven't a chance to pre-order Relight My Fire, you can go to strangetime.com now. Get yourself on the list for all the goodies. And listen, folks, sincerely, I'm going to be sincere now because I've got a drink. Thank you for your ongoing support. Because basically, marketing and all that, it's essentially you people saying nice things and telling other people about us. And Mark will tell you, nothing's better than people giving recommendations to their mates and stuff for books. So sincerely, thank you very much. Brendan, thank you for your hard work. Mark, thank you as always for all the stuff you've done to help this year and for your writing that has been a joy for my entire life. And I've now... The drink is hitting me.
He's just kicking in, isn't it?
I'm gonna anyway. And I've got to drive tonight. No. But anyway, listen, folks, you've been brilliant. Thank you very much. Have yourselves a wonderful Christmas, and we'll see you all in the new year. Happy New Year! Bye.
Merry Christmas!
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.